Then we have to no shut the interface. We have to assign a IP address. Then we have to define a. If I'm using name if inside, and for rest of the stuff, security level 0. If you want to change the security level, and it is from okay, copy शायद टूट जाए यहाँ पे. अभी मेरी बॉटल भी नहीं है, मेरे को चिपका दी है. 0 to 100. Now this is how I'm going to initialize the interface. The difference between a router and this one is गेट्स को बंद कर दे एक बार गेट को. Show IP route, and on the ASA I have to type the keyword show route. So this is the configuration on the router. This is the configuration on the ASA. You have to use the keyword show route. It does not support the concept of IP most of the time. So if you want to see the routing table, on the router we have the command is show IP route, and on the ASA we have the concept of show route. For interfaces, on the router we have show interface IP brief. On the ASA it is show interface IP. Now the next thing we have discussed about is telnet. For telnet, first we have to define a keyword telnet, and which device can access ASA. So this can access this thing 255.255.255, and on which interface I will receive this traffic. So if I set inside, so this 12.1.1 should be received on E0 by 0 because E0 by 0 is my inside. And to change the timeout, we have the keyword is telnet timeout, and we define it in minutes. Now to define the password for the telnet, the command was password, and we can define anything, and by default password is now by default ASA asks for what? If I'm taking the access of the device through telnet, it will ask what? A password, right? What I want is it should ask a username and password rather than asking for a password. I want him to make sure he will ask for a username and password. So on the router we have a command of login local on what? Line VDI. But ASA does not support the concept of line VDI. So here we have the concept of triple A for which protocol? Mandatory keyword is console, and then local data. So through this command, the ASA will ask for a username and password. And to create a username password, the command is username and password. On the router, if I want to find out the privilege level, the command is show privilege. So this is the command through which I can find out the privilege on the router. So this command works on router. On the ASA, the command is show priv. Here cur means current, priv means privilege, and it will show you privilege level 1, 15, whatever the privilege level is. So show cur priv. So cur means current, priv means privilege. Rest of the concepts are same. It has a default privilege level of 1 and privilege level of 15, and you can create from 2 to 40. We will discuss about this thing also. But just to let you know, the command to check the privilege level is show curve priv. Curve means current, priv means privilege. Now let's talk about ACL because कल हम ACL की ही बात कर रहे थे. So let's start our class with ACL. So today's topic will be ACL. Then we will talk about routing. In routing, first we will talk about static route on ASA, then default, then RIP, EIGRP, OSP. टेलनेट भी तो करा रहे थे क्या? टेलनेट के लिए ट्रिपल ए चाहिए, फिर मैं सोचा ट्रिपल ए एक साथ ही करा दूंगा. And before going further to ACL, first let's start our today's topic through HTTP, taking the GUI of the ASA. So first let's talk about how to take the GUI of ASA. So this is our first topic for today, and the rest of the things are same: ACL, routing, static route, default route, RIP, EIGRP, OSPF. मेरे को लगता नहीं सारे हो जाएंगे, so maybe this will be for tomorrow's class, but still try to finish up to that much. So as you are completely aware about, ASA is what? A security appliance. So it does not support the concept of HTTP. It always works on HTTP. You can take the access of router through HTTP. You can take the access of switch also. So for as per a security appliance, if I will talk about security devices, what we are going to go through, we have a list of devices. We have router, we have switch, we have ASA, we have ACS, we have IPS IDS, we have firepower, we have ICE, we have WLC, and we have WSA. Router supports the concept of HTTP plus HTTPS. This means you can take the GUI through HTTP and HTTPS. Same with the switch, HTTP and HTTPS. It's a security appliance, so it will support only HTTPS. Same with this, HTTPS, 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 HTTPS. WLC supports both HTTP, HTTPS, and WLC supports both HTTP, HTTPS. So these are all our security devices from the Cisco, and all these devices supports HTTP or HTTPS. So we'll go through each and every device, but just to let you know which device supports GUI through a secure or not secure. So let's take a small topology. For example, we have, ये note हो गया ना? We have a PC through which we are going to take the GUI, and this is our ASA. So the IP address on the PC will be 101.1.100, and on the IP address on the ASA will be 101.1.1. So the first step to take the GUI, steps for GUI access. First you have to check a image. You need to have ASDM image. This is a separate image as compared to iOS image. This is a adaptive security device manager image. Adaptive security device so it's an image that is created just to give the GUI of the ASA. So this is the image that is built by the Cisco just to provide the GUI of the device. Without this image, you cannot take the GUI. So we have two images on the ASA. The first one is for the CLI access. The another one is for the GUI access. So CLI image is something, it's mandatory. Without it, your device is not going to boot. So without this image, your ASA is not going to boot. But for GUI, you need to have a separate image, that is ASDM, Adaptive Security Device Manager. So you need this image so that you can access the GUI of the ASA. Without this image, you will not able to take the access. So your first step is to check whether you have the image or not. So you have to run a command on the ASA. The command is show flash. ये शायद आपने router पे भी चलाई हो, show flash. And then you have to find out a image with the name of asdm.bin. If there is an image with asdm.bin, this means there is an image already. If it is not, we have to copy from FTP or TFTP. So your first task is to find out whether you have a ASDM image or not. ये spelling देख लेना, adaptive AP. So first you have to find out whether you have a ASDM image or not, because the scope of ASDM is just to provide the GUI of the device. That's it. So this is the image you need to have. So first step, to take the GUI, you have to type which keyword? Show flash, and you need to find out the image with asdm.bin. So let's run the GNS3. ASA. And let's take a PC. You cannot connect directly PC to the ASA. It will prompt you error. You need to have some kind of hub or Ethernet switch. So let's take a switch. Connect, and then you can connect this thing to this one. You cannot connect directly ASA to the VMware. You need to have some kind of bridge or hub. So it's up to you whether you want to select a switch, a hub, a bridge. It doesn't matter at all. But you cannot directly connect ASA with the VMware. So the first step is to check whether you have the image or not. You have to press always 3 here. So the first keyword is to type enable. It will ask for what? We don't have password. And then we have to type the keyword show flash. Enter. This is the flash. We don't have a file with the ASDM. All these are logs. So we don't have ASDM file. This means we have to copy either from TFTP or FTP. So let's go to this thing. So from this we can perform the practical also. If you want to upgrade your ASA on the rack, or you want to downgrade it, or you want to copy the image, so you can use this concept of FTP. So the command is, on the ASA you are going to type copy from FTP, the IP address of the FTP. So the IP address in our topology, our PC is our FTP. So the IP address of the FTP will be 101.1.100. So in our topology, our FTP is our PC is our FTP. So copy from FTP. The name of the file is asdm.bin, because the FTP has multiple files, right? So the file that you want to copy is from this one. And where you want to store? Inside the flash. So then you have to type a keyword flash. ये शायद आपने CCNA में भी किया होगा. So copy FTP. I want to copy from FTP server. The next step is the IP address of the FTP. So this is the IP of FTP. Then you have to next type is which file you want to copy, because the FTP server has a multiple files, not a single file. So you have to define the name of the file. And then you have to define the location where you want to store. So the last step is to define the location. Store the, अरे वो गोलू नहीं आया क्या? आज लेट हो गया क्या? आया ना, ये लेट होता है हमेशा. ठीक है. So we don't have the file. The keyword is to check is show flash. So let's go to this one. You can use any kind of FTP, TFTP. It's up to you. I'm using this golden FTP server. It's up to you whichever server you want to use. You want to use FTP, TFTP. It's up to you. So right now we don't have any kind of image inside it. So first you have to find out. So this is Cisco ASA ASDM. So click on it. We have different files. ASDM 633 all are bin file. So let's copy one of them. So right now in our FTP we have a file of ASDM 633. Now what we have to do is we have to go here. So we will say copy from FTP. The IP address of the FTP is 101.1.100 and the name of the file is asdm633.bin, and we want to store where? Enter. So it's going to ask you the confirmation. The address of the FTP server is 101.1.100. Just press enter. Yes, it is this one. The name of the source file is asdm633bin. Yes. Destination file. After finishing the copy, you want to store with the same file name or you want to change it. Maybe you want to change it to Cisco 123, whatever. So if we don't want to change it, so we will press enter. अब क्या बोल रहा है? अरे IP तो देने दो. इतनी भी जल्दी क्या है? We don't have any kind of फ्यूचर ट्रैवल करने पे हम वापस आते हैं. साइड IP एड्रेस 101.1.1. Done. Now ping 101.1.1 self FTP server. Yes, we can ping it. Now copy FTP 101.1.100 ASDM 633 bin. And let me tell you something, this is important. If you are running a code maybe 8.0, 8.1 or 8.2, make sure you will use ASDM file 633. It will work. And if you are running something 8.4, 8.5, 8.6, something like this, use file 722. We have one more file. This one 7.1.3. Use this file ASDM. And if you are running above this thing, maybe you are running 9.6 or 9.1, 9.2, use 722. So in for 9.x series, make sure you have a ASDM file with 7.2 or 7.12 or above. Now this is what? 633. So let me tell you something. 6 is my major version. The first 3 is my minor version. And the last 3 is my maintenance number. is my maintenance number. Let me tell you something. For example, if I'm talking about this iOS image, ASA images, right? I have a image 912 rename, copy. This is the most important part क्योंकि हम ये चीजें ignore कर देते हैं. This is the name of the image, right? The first is ASA. This means this image is made for what? Cisco ASA. We have 9. 9 is our major version. 1 is our minor version. अरे सुनो बस see then we have this thing SMP, that is stands for single so basically if you are going to see this version, major version or minor version, the scope of these two versions is to introduce new features. So if you are see that the 9.1 to 9.2, think like this that a new feature is introduced. So the scope of major version and minor version is to introduce. So let's change this one to introduce the new features. So the scope of major version and minor version is to introduce the new features. The maintenance number is used to remove the bugs. So this number denotes that the bugs are resolved or something like this. But if you are see 9.1.1.1 and then there is the iOS 9.1.5. So there is no new feature is introduced, just bugs are fixed. So if you are facing any kind of problem, maybe something like this, I have introduced the concept of in 9.6 we have introduced the concept of ISIS. Maybe due to ISIS my EIGRP is not working properly, or maybe I am facing some kind of issue. Sometime my neighborship is down. So I'm not going to say 9.7 is a new version or new feature. I'm going to say 9.6.1 to update the issues. So I'm going to create a bug and then I'm going to resolve it, and then I'm going to say it 9.6.1. So whenever you will see the third number, that is for the bugs, that is maintenance number. So if you are facing an issue, you are going to inform Cisco tag, and then Cisco tag is going to resolve it, and then they are going to change it to 9.1.1.2, then 9.1.3. So this means no new features are there, just bugs are resolved. Single multi-process, the scope of this thing, if I'm going to compare this stuff, we have first generation of firewall, and we have next generation. So if you will see SMP, this means it is a next generation. It can perform multi-process because the architecture of next generation firewall is 64-bit architecture as compared to first generation which was 32-bit architecture. For example, if I'm going to talk about my PC right now, it's what? It's next generation. So if I'm going to task manager, I'm running multiple processes at the same time. I'm running my VMware also. I'm running my secure CRT also. So multiple processes are running at the same time. So that is for the next generation. So from this image, I can say that this image is for next generation firewall. The scope of this image only for next generation firewall, not for first generation firewall. And next we have K8. We can have K8 or we can have K9. You can see a number K8 or you can see K9. This is related to VPN, where K9 supports advanced encryption algorithm, whereas K8 support only for DES, or I will say not AES. So it does not support advanced encryption standard. So it's an encryption algorithm, advanced encryption algorithm. So if you are using K8, it does not support any kind of AES. But if you are running K9, this means it supports AES, Advanced Encryption Algorithm, or S stands for standard. So K stands for it supports AES. Sorry, K stands for it does not support AES, but K9 supports AES. So from this thing also you can find out lots of information, the name of the image. तो आपको बहुत इंफॉर्मेशन पता चल जाएगी. दिस इज मेजर वर्जन, माइनर वर्जन, मेंटेनेंस नंबर, वेदर इट इज फॉर फर्स्ट जनरेशन और सेकंड जनरेशन और नेक्स्ट जनरेशन, और वेदर इट सपोर्ट इंक्रिप्शन एल्गोरिथम और नॉट. K8 K9 नहीं होता क्या? हाँ, क्योंकि 3 इंक्रिप्शन एल्गोरिथम है हमारे पास. So now I'm going to say I want to copy from FTP 101.1.1 location of FTP, and this is the name of the file, and I want to store in the flash. Same thing, press enter. एक मिनट के लिए आराम से बैठ. Done. Now let's put show flash. Show flash, and I'm going to see an image that is ASDM.bin. So this means yes, we have a GUI image. Now I can take the GUI of the device. Okay, let's go further. Now what are the commands to enable the HTTP or HTTPS? I will say not HTTP, HTTPS services. Because according to our yesterday discussion, I told you except ICMP, all the packet that is destined to the ASA will be dropped. Except ICMP. Any packet destined to the ASA will be dropped. So to take the GUI, first we have to say so let me tell you, you have to type HTTP. Here HTTP doesn't mean 480, here HTTP stands for 443. So don't think like I'm typing for HTTP, it's for HTTPS because it does not understand the concept of HTTP. Which user can take the access of this device? So I will say 101.1.100 because this is the IP address of what? My PC. This is the IP address of PC. So the PC can take access of my device, then subnet mask, and it will come from inside. Then HTTP, this IP, this mask, and the interface through which I will receive the packet. Now for authentication, सबको याद होगी AAA authentication for HTTP console local and local. So let's type those commands. HTTP 101.1.100 and it will come from inside. The next thing is for the authentication. So AAA authentication console. Same warning. What is the warning? Database is empty. So let's create username. Password is Cisco. So these are the 3 commands that will be required to take the GUI of the device. To define who can access my ASA, to perform authentication, and to create a username and password. So let's go to this one. Internet Explorer. And here let me type HTTP first. 101.1.1. and you will see it is not going to respond for any kind of packet. But still I can ping the ASA, ping 101.1.1. I can access it, but HTTP is not enabled because it is a security appliance and it will not allow a unsecure communication. So the page cannot be displayed. So let's go to HTTPS 101.1.1 and yes, I want to continue. So here is going to tell you the definition, something like this. So अगर आपको SDM की definition याद करनी हो तो आप GUI ले लेना, and from here it is going to tell you something like this. So the SDM is to provide the GUI. ठीक है? Now if you are going to type HTTP, the connection will not be, it will be reset. It's not going to respond any kind of HTTP packet. But you want a feature that if a user is typing HTTP, if a user is typing HTTP 101.1.1, that request should be automatically redirected to HTTPS 101.1.1. What I want is if a user is typing HTTP 101.1.1, that request should be automatically redirected to HTTPS. So for that we have a command, that is HTTP redirect on which interface? Inside. So HTTP redirect on inside. If you want to note about this command, so question mark redirect HTTP connection to the security gateway to use HTTPS. So it is going to redirect the HTTP connection from HTTP to HTTPS. So we have run this command. So let's go to this one and let's close it and let's try to type HTTP. Last time it was not working. Now we have enabled the service. Let's see whether it will work or not. Yes, it is automatically redirected to HTTPS. Now this is the GUI option. You can install a launcher. So let's discuss about this thing. You have to install a launcher. A launcher is कोई मिसाइल विजाइल नहीं चलानी. एक छोटा सा launcher होता है. This is a launcher. It's a desktop icon where you can click on it. Rather than going to again Google Chrome and typing the HTTPS, this is a launcher, ASDM launcher. Type the IP address 101.1.1, type the username, type the password, and then you can access it. So this is a launcher that will be used. So if your browser does not support HTTPS or maybe that does not support some kind of Java or something like this, when you are taking the access, you can install this launcher. So install ASDM launcher. So it's up to you. हमें तो सिर्फ क्या यूज करना है, GUI. So click on run ASDM. तो इसके लिए आपको जावा चाहिए ही होगा. So yes, Java run. The username is 101.1. Sorry, IP is 101.1.1. Username is Cisco. Password is also Cisco. And this is the GUI of the ASA. आज आप तो ठीक है. So this is the GUI. So it's a dashboard. We call it dashboard. So in this, it is going to give you a brief information. Host name is Cisco ASA. Version is 8.0.2. So this means major version is 8, minor version is 0, and 2 is our maintenance number. As our discussion, you can deploy the ASA in two modes. As per as adaptive keyword, it can work on layer 3, it can work on layer 2, and by default it works on layer 3. So the firewall mode is routed. This means it is running on layer 3 mode. The total flash size is 256 MB. The uptime is up about 26 minutes. The model number is ASA 5520. Context के बारे में हम शायद में भी 2 हफ्ते बाद बात करेंगे. And here it is going to give you the information what are the interfaces that are configured. Only one interface is configured with IP of inside 101.1. और ये ट्रैफिक स्टेटस बता रहा है. दिस इज एंड ऑल दैट. अभी तो कुछ समझ नहीं आएगा. लेट्स टेक अ एग्जांपल. लेट्स असाइन द आईपी एड्रेस. व्हाट इफ यू वांट टू असाइन द आईपी थ्रू GUI? So we want to configure, yes or no? So click on configure. We want to configure something. Now he's asking what you want to configure. We want to configure a click on interface. So he's giving you information that these are the interfaces that you can configure. Gig0 by E0 by 0 is already configured. You want to configure E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. So suppose I want to configure E1. So I will click on edit. Click on. It will prompt this thing. So interface name. So here the scope is interface name is nameif. What is the name? I am giving out. The security level you want to assign. So let's assign 50. Then we have to no shut the interface because by default the interface is shut. So enable interfaces to no shut the interface. The IP address. Suppose the IP address, just take random 15.1.1. And we want to assign /24. So click on it and /24. If you want DHCP, obtain address via DHCP. Okay. Okay. And apply. Let's cross check it whether it is assigned with that IP or not. Show interface IP 3. And yes, we have assigned a 15.1. Show name is outside 50. इससे ज़्यादा हमने कुछ किया नहीं है, so we will not talk more about GUI right now. क्योंकि बाकी अभी तक कुछ किया ही नहीं है, routing और ये सब. So this is how you can take the GUI of the device. Now let's talk about how to configure static route on ASA. Suppose this is my ASA and this is my R1 and R1 has a loopback 1.1.1.1 12.1 and this is 12.2. So by default ASA will not able to ping 1.1.1 because they are not in the same subnet. So I want to give a static route. So first I have to configure what? Interface. So I said interface E0 by 0, no shut, name is inside IP address 12.1.1. Now I have to configure a static route for 1.1.1. So I'm going to say route in the global configuration mode route exit interface. What is my exit interface? तो यहाँ लिख लेता हूँ मैं route exit interface is inside destination at destination mask and destination IP 1 dot this one and the next scope is 1 dot. So this is what exit interface. So inside is here pointing towards the exit interface. This is my destination address. And this is my next home. So this is how you are going to configure. And now, if you want to configure a default route, this is the example for static route. If you want to configure a default route, same for the inside, route inside, any IP and any mask. And the next step is this one. So the first 00 is defining IP, the next 00 is defining mask. This is IP. Any IP, any mask. So this is how you are going to configure a default route. So static route is route, exit interface, destination address, then next hop. For the default also route, exit interface, default route, and then next hop. So this is how you are going to configure static and default routes. So if you want to configure a route again for something, so route, the name if, so name if may be outside, so outside, maybe for 222, so 2.2.2, or is what this time you want to define for subnet, and the next hop is something, this one. Then obviously अब मैं यहाँ पे दे रहा हूँ route outside 8.8.8 and next hop. अब मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि वो कहाँ पे है, मेरा काम था कि इसको ये बता दिया कि अगर इसके लिए कोई भी पैकेट है ना, इसको दे दो. अब ये जिम्मेवार है इसको कहाँ देना है, इट्स अप टू हिम कि इसको क्या करना है इसके साथ. तो इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता ये नेक्स्ट होप है, नेक्स्ट टू नेक्स्ट है या कितनी दूर है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ठीक है, और कोई डाउट रिगार्डिंग स्टैटिक और डिफॉल्ट? Now let's talk about the concept of ACL. See how to configure a ACL on the ACL. थोड़ा सा अलग है concept. And let's see the difference between a router ACL and the ASA. Now here we can define the standard ACL from 1 to 99 standard. From 100 to 199 we can define. इससे ज़्यादा परेशान नहीं करूँगा मैं. And then we can define name also, that is also for extended. To define the network, we have to use the concept of wildcard. Wildcard use करते ना? So this is my subnet mask. The wildcard will be of 192.168.0.0.0.255.255. And if this is my subnet mask, 242, so my wildcard will be 0.13. देखो आधा मैं कर देता हूँ 1 डॉट, ये तो ऐसे ही रहेगा, बाकी तुम कर लो 0.3 भी बोल रहे 13 भी बोल रहे, तो मैं 13.2. एक बार के लिए तो प्रॉब्लम होती है ना वाइल्ड कार्ड कैलकुलेट करने के लिए, यस और नो? सो इट्स अ गुड न्यूज फॉर यू, ASA डज नॉट सपोर्ट द कंसेप्ट ऑफ वाइल्ड कार्ड. आपको कहीं पे भी वाइल्ड कार्ड कॉन्फ़िगर नहीं करना. इट डज नॉट सपोर्ट द कंसेप्ट ऑफ वाइल्ड कार्ड. कहीं पे भी वाइल्ड कार्ड नहीं चलेगा, कहीं पे भी. So it does not support the concept of wildcard. ASA पे हमेशा always it will go with subnet mask. ये बहुत अच्छी बात लगी मेरे को इसकी. Done. Now the second thing is, so these are the rules that you have to follow, yes or no? If you want to create standard, you have to use from 1 to 99. If you are using 101 for standard, will it work? No, it will prompt a error that this is for extended. यहाँ पे भी चीजें कुछ ऐसी है, बस यहाँ पे एक चीज है, एक ही लाइन लिखूंगा, नो रूल्स आता है, कोई रूल्स नहीं है. यू कैन यूज एनीथिंग, यू कैन से 100 is my standard, no problem. You can make it. You want it 110 is my standard, yes, you can use it, no problem. So there are no rules regarding numbers, number and name. It doesn't matter at all, either you are using from 1 to 99, 100 to 99 or name. It doesn't matter at all. Third thing, in this thing, if you are going to create a ACL entry, maybe something like this, IP access list extended ABC, permit TCP NNE, then you set permit UDP NNE. So the sequence number will be added automatically, yes or no? And the sequence number was started from 10, 20, 30, 40. On the ASA, the sequence number is also coming automatically, but it is going to start from 1. The sequence number will start from 1 rather than starting from 10, 20, 30. So it will go something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. अभी के लिए तो इतना ही बता रहा हूँ, बिकॉज एक्सेस लिस्ट ऑल्सो अ बिग कंसेप्ट. सो वी विल एक पूरा डेडिकेटेड दिन रखेंगे ACL के लिए. राइट नाउ आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू ओवरव्यू अबाउट इट. मे बी शायद कल ही कर ले हम एक्सेस लिस्ट पे, बिकॉज इन ASA ऑन द राउटर वी कैन अप्लाई इन विच डायरेक्शन, इन और, बट ऑन द ASA वी कैन अप्लाई इन 3 डायरेक्शन. सो वो चीज हम कल देखेंगे. अभी तो लेट मी नोट डाउन दिस थिंग ऑल्सो, इसको भी नोट कर लो. वी हैव 2 डायरेक्शन, इन और आउट. On ASA, we have three direction: in, out, global. ACL में तो अच्छे से आंखें खुल जाएंगी. So just mark it. Just give some space. We will discuss it tomorrow because हमारा time waste हो जाएगा इसमें काफी. So we will discuss this concept tomorrow. The scope of global. In और out. I think सबको आता होगा. The scope of in and out. वो हम नहीं discuss करेंगे because आप CCNA में वो पढ़ के आए हो. Rest of the things are same. It supports wildcard. It supports subnet mask. There are no rules. You can use anything, whatever you want, for standard or extended. And let me tell you, by default, so let me tell you something, a key point. If you are typing 100, it doesn't matter, you can use for standard also, you can use for extended. And if you are not defining that I want to use standard or extended, by default, the ASA will take it as a extended. So by default, if you are not defining the ACL type, ASA will consider it as standard. Sorry, not standard, extended. अरे छुपा देता हूँ बस. 100 का लिखा, पहले ये बता. If you are not saying I want to create extended or standard, it will say okay, you want to create a extended one. So let's create our first ACL before going further. So let's create a ACL. Let me tell you the ACL on the ASA on the router. ACL can start from IP access list or it can start from access list. शायद आपने किया भी होगा. एक ही लेते हैं, एक राउटर है भी हमारे पास. Then, so on the router we can use IP access list also, and we can use access list also. On the ASA we have only a single option. On ASA we have to use only access list. IP का सपोर्ट नहीं है. Only access list. Okay, we have only access list. So let's create an access list on the router first so that we can compare it with the ASA. Permit TCP any and deny ICMP any. Let's create permit TCP any. This is our access list. Okay. So on the ASA we cannot use IP access list. और पहले बता दूं क्वेश्चन मार्क का पूरा सपोर्ट है as same as router. So it does not support it, so we have to say access list. Question mark access list identifier. So we can define a name also, we can define a number also, but here it is going to specify something like this. Extended this one. ये और ये ही यूज कर सकते हो आप, ये है वो है, but here the concept is same. Either it is standard, extended, doesn't matter at all. So I said 100. What you want to take action? I want to permit or deny, because here I'm not specifying anything, yes or no. I'm not saying this is my standard or extended. You have option. You can say this is my standard or this is my extended. But if you are not going to specify anything, it will take what? Extended. So permit, then same option. I want to permit what? TCP. Source IP is also any, because we have in this one any to any. Source IP is also any, destination IP is also done. ये आपकी access list बन गई. Because you haven't specified standard or extended, so it is going to take what? Extended. Let's add one more entry there. IP access list extended 100. Deny ICMP uh, any. Show IP access list. So it starts with 10, 20, 30, 40. Let's create one more here. Same. Deny ICMP any. So access list. The name of the ACL is 100. I want to take action. Sorry. ICMP any. और यहाँ पे do का कोई फंडा नहीं है, तो show access list. So you can see here it is showing me line 1, line 2. So this means it starts from line 1, line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like this. Now what I want is, I want to permit UDP between TCP and between ICMP. I want to permit UDP in between them. So what I'm going to say is IP access list extended 100, 15 permit UDP any. अभी हम any करें, then we will do subnet and then we will do host specific. Show IP access list. So 15 is there. 15. On the ASA, I'm going to do something like this. Access list. I want to insert between 1 and 2. So I'm going to say access list 100 line 2. So that it will come on place 2 and the place 2 will come at place 3. And by default it is taking which keyword? मैंने specify नहीं किया था, but by default it is taking extended. So line 2 permit था deny था? Permit UDP any. So permit UDP any. Show access list. तो आपके 2 पे क्या गया? Permit UDP any. एक बार फिर से देख लो, कोई डाउट है तो पूछ लो, then we will do further. बीटेक धोखा दे गया. बीटेक नहीं, इसका टच पैड परेशान कर रहा है. ठीक है. R1 12.1.1. So let's try to do something through ACL. R1, then we have R2, R3, and this is our ASA. For example, right now if I'm typing disable, I don't have a password. So to set the password, we have the keyword enable password. Cisco. अब हमने राउटर पे देखा था, this is what? A plain text, yes or no? ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं, it's a security appliance. Now you are going to put show run. It is going to show you the password, but the password is in encrypted. ये यू क्यों लिखा रहा है? ये भी आ गया था इनका. और मेजर वर्जन, माइनर वर्जन एंड मेंटेनेंस. So this is the command from which you can find out lots of information about the device. The command is show version. From this thing only you can find out like what is the hardware, what type of RAM it is has. So as soon as you are going to type the keyword show version, this is our ASA. The software version that it is running is 8.0.2 maintenance number. Boot up time 1 minute 21 seconds. This is the first generation firewall. So you will see in Pentium this one. कितने जीबी रैम है?
MB है
अच्छा ये MB में 128 MB रैम है, कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता इस पे तो, ठीक है. एंड द फ्लैश इज 256 MB. And these are the interfaces and the MAC addresses of the interfaces, and then this is the license that you can, आपने शायद सुन पढ़ा भी होगा, sub interfaces and all that thing. So these are the features that is supported by the box. We will discuss about it because अभी तक हमने failover नहीं किया, VPN नहीं किया, context नहीं किया, so अभी बात करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. So फिर the interface वैसे वेरीफाई कर लेते हैं, डिसेबल, जहां से डिसेबल मारोगे तब तो आपको वहां ले जाएगा, ठीक है. एंड देन इनेबल, एंड इफ यू विल प्रेस एंटर इट विल आस्क फॉर ए पासवर्ड. सो इसको
MD5 में इंटर करता है,
अपना MD5 में होता है तो डॉलर डॉलर के साइन आते
तो सॉल्व हो गया MD5.
हाँ, तो इसलिए उसको पता चल जाता है MD5 है या E0 by 1. Oh shit. Name it DMC. सिक्योरिटी लेवल कितना होगा इसका? बाय डिफॉल्ट
बाय 0
और सिक्योरिटी लेवल हम कर देते हैं 23.2. Exit. Interface is 0 by 2. No shut. Name it outside. 31.1.2. Show interface IP. (12.2), 23.2 and 31.2. Just check the reachability. Yes, I can ping R1. Yes, I can ping R2. And yes, I can ping R3. ठीक है, everything is perfect. Now, first verify our static route concept. So let's create a loopback. Loopback 1.1.1. On R1 we have a loopback 1.1.1. So right now ASA does not have any information about loopback. वो उससे directly connected नहीं है. ये आपने सब पढ़ा होगा CCNA और NP routing switching में. Directly connected, non-directly connected. So now we are not able to ping 1.1.1. So let's add a route. Route कहाँ पे है वो? R1 is my inside. For which network? 1.1.1. And the next hop will be 12.1. Show route. So you will see entry S. S stands for
static.
ये सब मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, ये आप पढ़ के आएंगे, AD वैल्यू और ये सब ये पूछ लो. एक बार एक बच्चे ने पूछ लिया था व्हाट इज द स्कोप ऑफ AD, तो मैं उससे कुछ अब शब्द कहे, ठीक है. So ping 1.1.1 and yes, the ping is working. This means static route is properly installed. ठीक है. Now if I want to create a loopback on R2, so loopback this one 2.2.2.2. So route DMZ 2.2.2. Next loop 23.1. So route 2.2.2. This one working. Loopback for R3 also, interface loopback 3.3.3 and route outside 3.3.3 31.1. If you want to see your configuration related to static route, the command is show run route. So from this thing you can find out what are the routes that you have configured. So show me the running configuration of route. It is going to inform you. और देखो आपको लास्ट में जो ये 1 एक्स्ट्रा दिख रहा है because 12.1.1 this is the AD value. Because if you are not going to specify for static route, the AD value is 1. अगर आप AD value 1 से स्टोर नहीं करना चाहते हो, remove this thing, add this thing. I want to store with AD 18. Now show route. This is stored with AD value 18. Whether it is working or not, ping 3.3.3. Yes, I can click the. ठीक है, स्टैटिक राउट में तो कोई डाउट नहीं होगा. To create a default route, you have to say route. Suppose I want to forward all my default traffic to ISP. Suppose ISP is my R3. So I want to forward all my default traffic to R3. So that is my ISP. So route
outside
any IP,
any subnet.
any mask. I can use 00 also. Rather than typing 0.0.0.0, I can say any IP, any mask. Next stop is 31.1.1. यही है ना next stop. Enter. Show route, and you will see a default route. So you can use this keyword 00 any IP any. आपकी मर्जी है 0.0.0 भी कॉन्फ़िगर कर सकते हो और 0.0 भी है. Let me tell you something before going further. I think everybody is aware about that. We can go through higher security level to a lower security level, but only for TCP and UDP traffic, not for ICMP traffic. The stateful inspection means information will be noted down only for TCP and UDP by default. You can send TCP traffic, it will note down the information and return packet will come. You can configure for, by default it is configured for UDP also. So more like a ZPF has been configured with a class map as protocol TCP, TCP and match protocol UDP, not for ICMP. So it is not configured for ICMP. So if you try to telnet R2, so first enable telnet, password Cisco. So R1 is at security level 100 and R2 is at security level 50. So you can go from higher to lower. So, अरे यार, so IP route. We don't have a subnet for 23. So एक एक default का दो. Fill dot true. 23.2 any IP any mask. ठीक है. So now let's try to telnet it. The telnet is working. Done. But ICMP traffic is not inspected. So if you try to ping it, your ping will not work. So ICMP traffic is not inspected by default. TCP traffic is inspected and UDP traffic is inspected, not in the case of ICMP. So this is just to let you know. So ASA inspect by default only for TCP and only for UDP, not for ICMP. And to enable the ICMP inspection, we have two options. So I will just tell you the first option. The next one is little bit different. So the command is fix the protocol ICMP. To enable the ICMP inspection on the ASA. So we have two methods. This is one is the first one and the most easiest method to enable the inspection. Fix up मतलब हमारा प्रोटोकॉल में कोई दिक्कत है इंस्पेक्शन में तो किसको ठीक कर दो ICMP को. Enter. Done. हो गया. Your ICMP inspection is enabled now. and now you can wrapping up because ICMP inspection is enabled now. So this is the command to enable the ICMP, and by default ASA does not inspect ICMP. Done. Now let's create some ACL. Why? By default this is at security level 100 due to the keyword inside, and these are manually configured. This is 50 and this is 0. The user from higher to lower can access. So R1 can access R2, R1 can access R3.
R2 can access R3.
Okay? And now there is a condition. What I want is R2 can also access R1. This is what I want. This is reverse something that R2 can access R1. But by default it is not allowed because you are at lower security level. But what I want is R2 can access R1. So this is more like exception. You want to create a exception. So right now if you try to telnet R1, the connection will not work. And if you want to see the debug messages, by default the logging is disabled on the box. On the router logging is enabled by default. On the ASA logging is disabled by default. So on router logging is enabled by default. On ASA logging is disabled by default. Show logging, and here is enable up to this one. So here you want to turn on the logging. The command is logging on. Now your logging is enabled. This is a command through which you can enable the logging. Now you want to see some kinds of log messages. So I want to see the log messages on my console. And we have discussed bit 0 to 7. It is from 0 to 7. So let's say I want to see up to 6. And let's enable a request. So I'm sending some kind of packet. And now no logging on. Let's disable the logging. It is going to tell you something. शायद सबको पता होगा that if you are initiating a connection and if it is not responding, it is going to try for how many times? 2 times. If you are sending any kind of TCP packet and if someone is not responding to that, you are going to send 2 packets, the first one and the second one. So it is going to tell you inbound TCP connection. I have received a packet in my inbound. On which interface?
DMZ.
DMZ. Action लिया मैंने deny कर दिया. And he wants to go from 23.1.1.1. This is my source IP and source port is what? Random. And he wants to go to 12.1.1 on which port? 23. Because this is TCP, so first it is going to perform what? Three-way handshake. So I am dropping what? A SYN packet. So he's dropping a SYN packet because he wants to go from a lower security level to a higher. और by default TCP के केस में वो 2 बार भेजता है. So 2 packets are denied. The first one and the second one.
लोअर टू हायर इनबाउंड कनेक्शन होता है
क्या?
लोअर टू हायर जाएगा तो इनबाउंड कनेक्शन होगा
Inbound command. Inbound, here the scope of inbound means that I receive the packet on my inbound interface. This one.
जैसे मैंने किया था वो मतलब R1 से R3 टेलनेट किया था तो आ रहा था बिल्डिंग आउटबाउंड कनेक्शन
वो तब बाहर जा रहा था।
तो मतलब वो हाई
हाँ, वो मैं
सिक्योरिटी
फ्लैग्स
लेवल
बताऊँ, उसके फ्लैग्स लगते हैं पूरे। तो शायद कल लास्ट टाइम नहीं बचा। Okay, done. Then, so for that we have to create what? A exception that this traffic should be allowed. So let's create a ACL access list. Let's give it a name from DMZ to inside. We have to create standard or extended.
extend
Extended because we have a source IP also, we have a destination IP. And by default it will create what?
extended only.
So this one. Permit this thing. Permit host because I want to create a specific address. I'm saying host source IP 23.1. He wants to go to which direction? This one. Sorry, permit के बाद हम हमेशा क्या डिफाइन करते हैं? TCP. Permit TCP, UDP, ICMP, EIGRP, whatever. Host 23.1.1.1 to host 12.1.1 और कौन सा ट्रैफिक है ये? तो EQ 23. Show history. This is your access list. देख लो कोई डाउट हो तो पूछ लो. And the next step is to apply the ACL. So for that thing, what I'm going to do is I have to apply this thing on my interface. This one E0 by 0. So on this interface E0 by 0, I'm going to apply this ACL. यहाँ पे sorry E0 by 1. Sorry, this is my topology. This is R1. This is R2. This is ASA. This one. This one. A packet is initiated from security level 50. I want to go to security level 100. Now, when the packet is forwarded to ASA, it will perform what? A route lookup. Based on the route lookup, we will find out that this packet should be forwarded to interface E0 by 0. E0 by 0 based on my route lookup. Now, the problem is I received the packet on E0 by 1. E0 by 1 is equal to security level 50. And based on my route lookup, E0 by 0 is my exit interface and the security level is 100. This means I should drop the packet. So on this interface only it is going to drop the packet. So I have to apply the access group on this interface. That when the packet is received, on which direction? Inbound direction, you have to allow the packet. So this is the exception I want to create. So when you are going to receive any kind of packet that is for the source and this destination, you have to allow because the action is what? Permit. So access group, to apply it, the name of the ACL is DMZ2 inside. In which direction you want to apply? Because the packet is received in which direction? Inbound. This is what? E0 by 1 and the packet is always received in inbound direction. So I always apply in direction. So in. Now this is a global statement, so I'm not aware about on which interface I have to apply because I have inside DMZ and outside. So I'm going to say on interface DMZ. Show history. So this is my configuration. Let's try to verify now whether it will work or not. And yes, our packet is forwarded. To verify, let's check hit count show access list. Because this is ASA, we don't need to type do command. It will run in any mode. And yes, I will see hit count. This is our first entry, so it will start with 1. पूछे अब नहीं बता रहा, पूछने वाले थे तब पूछते हैं. Done. So this is how to create a ACL. Same example. What if I want to initiate from outside to my inside? packet will be dropped because it is going from security level 0 to 100. To create the exception, what I'm going to do is, let's create the exception for loopback to loopback, because on R3 we have a loopback 3, that is 3.3.3, and I want to access my R1 loopback 1.1.1. So I want to provide a TCP communication for port 23 from loopback to loopback, not from the physical interface. What I want is, I want when the user is going to type this thing, telnet 1.1.1 source interface loopback 1, the telnet should work. So loopback to loopback connectivity. So for that thing, let's create one more access list, and this time the name will be different from out to in. And the action should I want to take is permit, not deny, permit. For which TCP. Source IP from outside 3.3.3. Destination IP equal to 23. Show access list. Show run access list. So we have this access list from out to in. By default, it will take extended permit TCP source IP destination IP EQ. Last one is access group. The name is out to in. Which direction?
Inbound.
On inbound. On which interface?
Outside.
Interface. And this time it should work. Okay. So history. So this is my configuration. Any doubt you can ask. So let's run a routing protocol जो हमारा है. पहले हमने कौन सा शुरू करना था? रिप. ठीक है, रिप करते हैं. Let's start with rip. So before that, going to rip show run route. Let's remove all the routes because now we are going to learn through dynamic. Show run route. We have all these routes. So the first option is to say no to first, no to second, no to third, no to fourth. Shortcut मार देते हैं clear configure route. Show run route. Now we don't have any. If you want to remove a specific, use the command no route outside 0031. If you want to remove everything, clear configure route. So show route, we don't have any kind of route, only directly connected. I'm sure आप सब पढ़ के आए होंगे RIP version 1, version 2. शायद मेरे पास टास्क तो नहीं कर पाऊंगा, सो आपकी मर्जी, आप करना चाहो तो आप कर सकते हो. So the first is router RIP. इस पे तो खैर बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, वर्जन 1 का कोई मतलब नहीं बनता. नो ऑटो नेटवर्क and we have one more network 1.1.1. Also router RIP network 23.0. अरे यार, sorry, this one network 2.2.2. I want to run version 2. Network 31.0, network 3.3.0, 3.3 doesn't matter. No auto. If you are going to go to router RIP, if you are going to put a question mark, you will see these options. आपके पास ये सारे ऑप्शन आएंगे. अच्छी खासी लिस्ट है ना. But if you go to ASA, because it is a security appliance, router RIP, you don't have that much of options because it is not a routing device, so you are not going to perform routing related configuration. So that's why you have limited option on ASA. The answer is why we have limited option, because it is not a routing device, it's a security device. These are the commands that are required to form a EIGRP neighborship, RIP neighborship or OSPF neighborship. So in the case of OSPF also, in the case of EIGRP also, you will have limited commands so that you can perform what? Neighborship and all that. So why we have limited options? Because it is a security device, not a routing device. And this is a routing device, that's why we have all these options. यहाँ पे ज्यादा है, यहाँ पे अब firewall से हम routing थोड़ा ना कराएंगे. We are going to perform only security. So the first command is define the version 2. Then we are saying no auto something. Network 12.0, 23.0, 31.0. यहाँ पे हमें कमांड चला सकते हैं show IP protocols, and here I can find out which protocol is running, EIGRP, OSPF, RIP, BGP, whatever. Yes or no? यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. फिर आप सोचोगे क्या पता शो प्रोटोकॉल हो. शो क्या है? प्रोसेस. तो प्रायोरिटी क्यू या प्रोसेस. So you don't have the option of show IP protocol. So the command to check whether it is running or not, the command is show run router. So from this you can find out which routing protocol is running. RIP version 1 or EIGRP, OSPF, BGP, because each of them will start with what? Router. So router EIGRP, router OSPF, router BGP. So you will use the command show run router. The next thing to check whether we have the RIP or not, show route. And you will see a keyword R. अब ये नहीं पढ़ाऊंगा ये R क्या होता है, ये O क्या होता है, E क्या होता है. And the AD value is 120. ठीक है. Router RIP. Let's go one by one. Just a quick overview. The first option is auto summary. I'm sure everybody is aware about to perform the summarization. Default information. From this thing, I can generate a default route in my network. So right now, I don't have any kind of default route. Show IP route. I don't have any kind. ये अरे यार ये मैंने पिछले पाम दिए हुए हैं. No. 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 So right now I don't have any kind of default route in my network, only static route. So on the ASA I can say default information originate. So it will originate a default route. So in which scenario I should use this command?
When we are जब इनिशिएट कर रहे हैं ट्रैफिक आउटसाइड पे भेज रहे हैं कोई भी ट्रैफिक,
इस केस में या इस टोपोलॉजी में कैसे जनरेट करूंगा, मतलब see, I know that this command will generate a default route. So we have to understand right now what is the scope of this command and in which scenario I should run this command. ये तो दिख गया हमें कि क्या जनरेट कर रही है, default route with the ID value of 120. So suppose ASA is your edge device. ASA क्या आपका edge device. You are running the RIP between R1, R2 and ASA. R1, R2 and ASA. So this is the devices that are running this thing. And you are running some kind of BGP. So what you are going to do is you are going to tell them that if you have anything forwarded to ASA and ASA has a static route or I will say static default route to forward to stuff to R3. So this is my ISP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to inform R1 and R2 that if you have anything 8.8.8, 4.4, any kind of IP you want to forward, just forward it to ASA. And on ASA I have configured a default route that is pointing towards the ISP router. So in that case what you are going to do is you are going to originate a default route. So both the default routes are pointing towards what? ASA. In the DMZ also it is pointing towards ASA. That if I have anything to forward, I'm going to forward it to ASA. And ASA has also a default route that is pointing towards the ISP router. So in that case, I'm going to use the concept of the default information. The next command is what? Distribute list to filter the routes. So let's run this command. For example, let's create show IP interface brief. We have loopback 1.1.1. So let's get loopback IP address is 4.4.4. Loopback 5 IP address 5.5. Router rip network 4.4.4 network 5.5. Show route, and now I'm able to see 4.4 also, sorry 4.4 also and 5.5. So from inside network I'm receiving 1.1.1, I'm receiving 4.4.4, I'm receiving 5.5. Now what I want is I want to receive 1.1.1, I want to receive 555, but I don't want to receive 4 network. So I want to remove this route, or maybe I want to filter this route. So I'm going to take help of what? Distribute list. So in this case, should I configure standard or extended?
Standard.
Standard. I have to configure what? Standard ACL. And before going further, let me tell you router RIP. We were discussing our third line, right? Distribute list. So distribute list question mark. यहाँ पे क्या कीवर्ड दिखा रहा है?
Name.
तो नंबर का खेल नहीं चलेगा. So you have to define a access list name. So let's create access list name. Access list my RIP, and I have to manually specify this is what?
Standard.
Standard. अब क्या करना है? Deny 4.4.4 और फिर एक क्या होता है? Implicit deny. To avoid that, we are going to say what? Permit any. ASA पे भी implicit deny का concept work करता है. So implicit deny is also there. So I have configured a access list, show history, access list, name of the ACL by default is going to take extended, so I said standard, action is deny, and I want to deny this thing, and the rest of the thing is permit. So now router rip distribute list, the name is my rip, and on which interface I want to filter? On inside. So interface. When I'm receiving the update in my inbound, I'm going to filter on which interface? Inside. So whenever the AS is going to receive the packet on its inbound interface, it is going to filter this one. You have two options, out also. So what is the scope of out?
I will not send the routing update.
You have. इसको अभी करके देखते हैं, पहले इन वाला देख लेते हैं. शो राउट और आप यहाँ पे देखोगे 4.4.4 के लिए देयर इज अ 47 57 clear route star, अच्छा सॉरी clear route show route. Let's wait for 30 seconds. अपडेट आएगी. So we have two options, in or out. तो देखो 4.4 तो आपका टाटा बाय बाय हो गया. So let me tell you the concept of in and out. So in this case, I'm saying whenever you are going to receive any kind of network that is related to 4.4.4, in your in direction, just drop the packet. Don't allow him to enter inside your box. So you are not able to see 4.4.4. It's more like, and then we have a keyword out. Out stands for receive that route, no issues, show inside your routing table, but don't give it to anyone else. So if there is a R3 or R2, it will not able to see the route 4.4.4. But on the ASA routing table, you will see 4.4.4. ठीक है?
दोनों
क्या?
दो आउटसाइड इंटरफेस है,
एक ये और एक ये.
हाँ, तो दोनों इंटरफेस पे लगाना, एक लगा एक तो एक पे जाएगा.
Sorry, this means
रीड वन पे लगाना.
आपके पास ऐसे है. हाँ.
जो आउट वाला जो लगाएंगे तो वगैरह आउट इंटरफेस हम आउटसाइड पे
यहाँ पे लगा दोगे ना.
दोनों इंटरफेस.
हाँ, अगर आपको दोनों को नहीं देना तो दोनों पे मतलब. बट मोस्टली तो हम इनमें फिल्टर कर देते हैं, मतलब कि मैं क्यों
डिनाई करना
तो आगे देना ही नहीं तो फिर उसको लेने का फायदा ही क्या है. Router rip, then we have the option of exit help तो नहीं है. Network to advertise the networks, no to remove the command. We have passive. In the passive क्या होगा?
I will not send update, but I will receive update.
I will receive the update or not?
Yes, sir.
Receive. But should I send it?
No.
I'm going to receive the update, but I'm not going to send it. So passive interface, and let's put a question mark on which interface you want to apply. So let's apply on inside. Right now on R1 show IP route, it has the routing information of 2 also. Show IP route trip. It has all the information, right? These are the information that are received through routing protocol. So I said passive interface inside. So I'm going to learn all the routing table from R1, but I'm not going to give him any kind of update. So after some time, it's 12. So after some times, all these routes will be removed because these are the routes that are learned through ASA. Now in the passive interface, ASA is not going to give him any kind of update. So let's wait 24 and 32. So this means the ASA is going to learn any kind of routing. So he's going to say there is a route this one. I will learn it, but I'm not going to give you anything that is related to. I'm not going to forward you because this is what a passive interface. I will receive the updates, but I will not forward it back. So after some time, you will see these are timeout. Then let's put question mark. We have redistribute. So before going to redistribute, let's remove no default information, originate, and let's remove no passive interface. So now we have the updates. 3 seconds के बाद now we have updates, but we don't have default out because I have removed the command no default information originate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the concept of redistribute. So let's create a default route outside 31.1.1. So this is my ISP. So I said what? If you have anything, forward it to ISP. But I have to give this information to R1 also, to R2 also. Because this is the route that is only configured on ASA, show route. But R1 and R2 are not aware about this default route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say router redistribute static with a metric of 60. Metric ले लेते हैं 10. ठीक है? Redistribute the static route with a metric of 10. Let's go there, and you will see this one. ठीक है? और वर्जन आप सभी को पता है. तो ये था आपका रिप. कल हम करेंगे EIGRP और OSPF.